I'm Mark Schaefer. Tonight on Point of View Vegas, giving prison inmates the tools they need to stay out of jail once they're released. That's the goal of the Change program. It's getting high praise from prison officials nationwide. Can it help Nevada's convicts make the grade once they regain their freedom? We'll ask the program's creator how it works. Point of View Vegas begins now. Good evening, I'm Mark Schaefer, and this is Point of View Vegas. Putting criminals behind bars is a necessity to keep our streets safe. But what happens when those same prisoners are released back into society? That often depends on what happens inside the prison walls. Can people convicted of crimes turn their lives around and become law-abiding citizens if they receive the proper guidance? Well, one man definitely says yes. He's here to explain why. John Ross is the founder of the Inside Corporation, and he's got a very interesting personal story to tell about what prompted him to create the Change programs, nationally recognized inmate reform system. Also joining the program today is Howard Skolnick, Assistant Director of Prisons and Prison Industries from the Nevada Department of Prisons. And thank you both for being here. Well, let's start with this story. Tell me about the Change program and how you started it. What began?
Well, I got falsely arrested and spent 72 hours in jail. And it was really the first time I ever saw anything from that side. So I was completely thrown from the way it seems on media or in movies or television. So I said if I ever get out of this thing, I was going to do something. And the only thing I could think of was to do some type of a positive program, which I did. And then everybody that was at the program wrote a letter and said, come back, and it actually just built from there.
Yeah, that 72 hours must have been some kind of an epiphany.
It was it'd be like being stranded on an island for 3 days and not knowing if you're ever going to get off. That's what it was exactly like.
Howard, how big a problem is recidivism?
Well, in this state it's very difficult to measure for two reasons. One, we are not a Department of Corrections, so parole and probation falls under a separate agency, which makes some of the statistical stuff difficult. The other, frankly, is that an awful lot of our inmates are getting out on discharge and leaving the state when they get out. So we don't really know, but we're estimating 50–60% anyways are coming back.
Yeah, that's very, very high. What was it like nationwide? I know this is a big problem nationwide.
Well, unfortunately, you get different numbers, but it's more than half. So if it's more than half, it's dramatic. So that's the way that I like to answer that.
What are the dynamics of recidivism? Why is it that so many inmates come back?
I think it's a lot of reasons. One, they go back to the same environment usually that they've come in from. Two, we don't provide them with a lot of resources when they get out. The state of Nevada, for example, only provides them with clothing and $21. That's not a lot of money to get started on in life all over again if you don't have family support. Interesting, last year in the United States, 567,000 people were released from prison in this country. And U.S. News and World Report estimated that everyone in a metropolitan area by the end of last year lived within a 15 to 20 minute drive of 10,000 ex-convicts.
And our prisons are full.
And our prisons are full, and we're building more.
We're building more and more and more. This you first tried in the federal prison system.
Well, we've been doing it in the federal prison system.
The initial experience, what was it like? What sort of lessons did you learn?
Well, the initial experience of being in there, the lessons I learned were that the people are just like you and me. A lot of them made mistakes. People think that the majority of people inside prisons are the violent kind. And I think 3, 4, 5% maximum are really violent criminals. I like to look at the others, 90+%, that they zigged when they should have zagged. They made the left turn instead of a right turn. Their perspectives are screwed up. Their methodology of thinking and philosophy needs to be completely changed.
So, according to some of the material I read in preparation for this, it's all about providing life tools and reversing negatives. Explain the life tools part of that.
Well, life tools, they have to know how to think.
Yeah.
And if you think that society owes you because you were raised in a bad environment, or the political system or the system in itself does things that are wrong, well, then you feel that it's okay to do the same thing yourself. Their philosophy and their perspectives need to be adjusted, because if you agree with that philosophy, well, then you're going to have a number next to your name for the rest of your life. You're going to violate crime.
So this is basically, Howard, all about changing an inmate's philosophy, life philosophy.
Yeah, Nevada has had an interesting history because historically most of our inmates came from other states. In the late 80s, over 70% of the inmates in Nevada had been in Nevada less than probably 6 weeks at the time of their crime. Today, well over 80% are here for over a year at the time of their crime. When they're released, they're going to stay in Nevada. So what used to be somebody else's problem has become our problem. And that's one of the reasons that under our new director, Jackie Crawford, we've been making a lot more effort at re-entry programs, at creating transitional programming, providing life skills, anger management, and other types of programs within the facility that will allow an inmate to have the skills they need when they get out to survive.
How did you go about structuring this program?
Well, the book that we use, Changes Power, is primarily the things that I learned from my mentors. I've been blessed with some great mentors. So the messages they taught me that they learned from their mentors, we just put in a program. But it's most of the things everybody's heard before. It's the approach, the dynamics of how we put the program together, the fact that we come in and we're not paid by anybody, that it's volunteer, it's people in the private sector, business people. I think they're much more accepting of that.
Okay, we're going to talk about some of those dynamics when we come back. We're going to take a quick break. Stay with us, so we'll continue our discussion in 2 minutes. You're watching Point of View Vegas.